Hello and welcome to our second session on this programming skills, and we are now working on our first application of building a driving simulator. And in this session we are going to first build the scene. We are going to build an environment, put up a road, add car and an obstacle, and build the entire scene and make it ready so that from our next session we can start adding action to all our components using the program. Now as we begin, I want you to create a dedicated folder for all the project and work that we are going to carry out in this series. Open File Explorer. Say for example, in my machine I will come to H drive and I am going to right click and I am going to create a new folder, and I am going to call this as create underscore with code and my name Sudhindra. I will just double click to open it. I will right click and create another folder, and I am going to call this as Drive Simulator. Before you start the project, I have provided you with some starter files and I want you to download and keep it ready to use it in our project. You can come into the YouTube channel or your YouTube video, and if you scroll down and in the description click on the more button, and if you scroll down you are provided with a Patreon page link. This link is provided even in your e-learning description page. Now click on this and this will open the Unity Programmer Series Patreon page, and here you are provided with a file project1 startup files.UnityPackage. Now click on this and see that the file is downloaded. It's a very small file of around 832 kilobytes. I will click on the folder here to come to the downloader folder, and I am going to right click on this and I am going to cut this here, and I will come into PCH and come into create with code Sudhindra folder, come into drive simulator, and I am going to paste this. We are going to start by launching Unity. First launch Unity Hub, come into the project, and we are going to start with a brand new project. So I will click on new project and I am going to select this Universal 3D. It is available in all, or you can come to core and select this Universal 3D template. Then in Satvik, I am going to call this project as Drive Simulator. In my Unity project folder, I am now going to click here and click on this create project. Unity 6 will be launched. Now we have our Unity launched with a sample scene. I doesn't want this URP empty template, and here you have remove readme asset. I will click on this, and in the confirmation window I will click proceed, and I am going to remove these readme files of URP which I doesn't need it. You can see the Unity screen is basically divided into 4 sections. On the left side you have the hierarchy window, you have scene and game tabs here. Then on the right hand side you have the inspector, and at the bottom you have project and console. And if you are not seeing the layout like this, you can come into the drop down on the right hand corner and you can choose here default, so that your layout and my layout will be the same. I will come into the project window, and project window is like a warehouse where we store all the assets that we are going to use it in the project. In the project window, I want to get the files that I have downloaded, and it's a UnityPackage file. And to load UnityPackage, in the menu come into assets, and here you have an option import package and choose custom package. And now browse to the folder you created. In H drive, in create with code Sudhindra, I created drive simulator folder, and here I have this project1 startup file UnityPackage. I am going to select it and click open. You now see this import UnityPackage dialog box. See that all is selected here and click on the import button. If you come into the asset, you can see a new library is created here called as course library. The size of this icon, you can control it through a slider on the right hand side. If I drag it to the right, you will see it in the biggest size, and if I drag it to the left, this will become a list view. I am going to double click course library to open it. You have 5 folders. I double click on obstacle. I see some 6 obstacle prefabs present here, and if I want to see its thumbnail, then I can slide this to the right to see the thumbnail. So if I select a prefab, on the right hand in the inspector at the bottom, you can see its preview. I am going to come into asset, and if you come into scenes, there are two scenes here. Sample scene is the default scene that was created when you launched the Unity project, and prototype 1 is the scene added from your downloaded resource file. I select this prototype 1 and I am going to press F2 and I am going to name this as drive_simulator. I will select this sample scene. This is no more needed, and I will press the del button on the keyboard to delete it. It asks for confirmation here and click delete. Now I select this drive simulator and double click to open this. It is asking me whether I want to save the sample scene, which I have already deleted. So I can just say here, don't save, and you have your drive simulator scene open. Once the scene is open, let us come into this first panel, which is the hierarchy panel. Drive simulator is the name of my scene, and if I open it, you basically see 3 game objects. So every object that you see in the hierarchy, they are called as game objects. The first is the main camera, and second is the direction light, and third is the environment. Now if I select any of the component here, come into the scene, and if I press F, you will get the full view of it. If I open the environment, you can see that this environment group consists of 3 more objects. One is the sky dome. If I press F, you can see here to navigate in the scene. If I right click and turn, I can turn up and down like this, and I can rotate left and right like this. This is like a person standing at one position and turning around. If I middle mouse and click, it is panning. Either I can pan it vertically or I can pan it horizontally. If I select sky dome, press F. Again I will press F to see the entire view. If I alt and left mouse click, you are going to orbit around the selection. So these are the ways we are going to navigate in our scene. So I have the sky dome. This is nothing but a semi-hemisphere, and inside that we have attached a sky material. Then you have mountain sky box, which is the bottom hemisphere, and for this we have attached a greenery type of image, and in between these two we have placed a plane and we have given it a material road. So if I select road and press F, if I alt click and turn left mouse click, you can now see the road here. The first thing I want to add here is a vehicle on the road. In the project window, I will come into asset, and in course library, if I double click, you have one folder called vehicles, and if I double click and open this, you have 5 vehicles here. The first vehicle, you have a armor car 1, the second vehicle is a blue bus, third is a blue jeep, fourth truck carrying, and fifth is a green van. For this scene, I am now going to select goods and I am going to drag it into my scene. Now as soon as I drag it, a new game object is added to the hierarchy, and in the scene you can see it is added, and the position of this object in the scene can be known by coming into inspector, and in transform it has X, Y and Z position. I will click on the 3 dots here and I will reset its position to 0, 0, 0. If I press F or double click on this, I will alt left mouse click and turn around to have a look at it. I am then going to come into the hierarchy, press F2, and I am going to call this as vehicle. Next we are going to add an obstacle in front of this car. I will come again into the project panel. In asset course library, you have a folder called obstacles, and if you open it, you have some 6 obstacles. Barrel, the crate 1, next you have property barrier 2, then you have property cone 1, then you have property spool 2, so you have this rock boulder 1. For this scene, I am going to select this crate 1 and I am going to add it into the scene. Now instead of dragging and adding it to the hierarchy, I will drag it directly from my project window onto my scene, and when I drag it, you can automatically see my crate is getting snapped to the road. And if I put it over the car, see it snaps to the car top. Here it snaps to this package, and if I bring it on the road, it snaps to the road. So it is placed exactly over the road now. We are going to make our placement of object in the scene precise by making use of the transform component in the inspector. So right now you can see car has position value 0, 0, 0. If I want to bring it in the same line, I can come into the position and along the X, if I make it 0, now this is exactly in front of the car. Along the Z, if I move it, see it will move either close to my car or it will move away from it. I want this to be placed around 25 meters away from my car. In Unity, every 1 unit is equal to 1 meter. I can come into Z, and if I type 25 meter, now automatically my crate is placed at 25 meters away from my car. I will now come into the hierarchy and I will press F2, and I am now going to call this as obstacle. The view that we are going to see in the scene view is for us to place the object. But finally, when the gamer or when the user is going to play your game, the view that he is going to see is the main camera view. So if you come into the hierarchy, you have one main camera. In the scene, if you have enabled this camera overlay, you can see what you can see in this main camera. Or you can come into the game view, and this is the view that the main camera is recording. Now if I come back into the view, you can see the main camera, and if I just roll the mouse back to zoom out, I right click and turn around and press D, I will roll the mouse back to rotate faster. You can see how my camera is placed. See, this is the camera, and whatever it is seeing in this entire rectangle is being shown in this camera view. So now coming back to scene view, and if you select this main camera and come into the inspector, along with the transform you have camera, rendering, stack, environment, output and audio listener components attached here. But now the most important thing is about the placement of the main camera, where we are going to place our main camera in our scene. Say for example, if I select this main camera and if I move it, you can automatically see how you are actually moving the view in this small camera, and also you can see it in the game view. If I want to bring back my camera to its original position, I will come back to scene and then come to edit and choose undo. Ctrl plus Z is the keyboard shortcut for that. When I click the play button here, and the keyboard shortcut for playing this is press Ctrl and press P, and it will start automatically playing. So when it is playing, this is the play mode. And in the play mode, if I come into the scene view and I am going to select vehicle, and if I drag it along the Z axis, you can see in this view it is changing. If I come into the game view also, it changes. But as soon as I stop the playback, see it comes back to its original position. So always remember, when you are in the play mode, whatever action you do in Unity will not be recorded. So that's why in our previous session, when I clicked the play mode, we had added a red color overlay so that we know that the game is in play mode. If you see the camera in the game view, if you see it, the camera is on the side. We are seeing our car from the side. But for my game, I want this camera to be on the left behind this car. That is, if you come into the scene view and if I select the vehicle, press F to zoom, I will slightly zoom out, and I want the camera to be placed on the back. So to reposition my camera, I will select the main camera here. You can see now I have the move tool here enabled. So I can move it along the x-axis. So as I move, you can see my x-axis value is reducing, and I will move it and I will set the x value to 0. This camera is exactly over my car. So to correctly view this, I will come into the gizmo here, right click, and come into the top view, and when I see it from the top, you can see my camera and my Jeep along the x-axis is at the same position. I am going to move it along the z-axis back. See, as I move in the preview, you can see it. I will just move it with middle mouse click. I will pan it like this, move it by around minus 15. Now the camera is placed here, but only problem is the camera is directed towards my left. I want my camera to be rotated and it should see towards the top here. So to rotate the camera, I am going to move into this rotate tool. So in this panel, you have all these transform tools. If I press Q, you get the hand tool. Hand tool is for panning. W is the move tool. And when I press E, this becomes the rotate tool. And now along the x-axis, I can turn and rotate it. And when I am rotating it, if I want to rotate it with exact angle, you can see in the transform window, if I press Ctrl, see it snaps and I can rotate it like this and I can bring it exactly, say it is coming to 0.305. I will leave it. I will set this value manually to 0 so that it is exactly rotated to the front. I want this camera to be moved slightly up. I cannot move up from the top view. I will come on the gizmo, I will right click and I am going to come into the left view. Now I will press W to move into the move tool. I am going to drag it and put it to the top. And also along the Z, instead of minus 15, I will set it minus 10. If you come into the game view, I want to slightly tilt my camera down. I am going to take the rotation tool. I will press E and take the rotation tool, and along the x-axis, that is the red axis, when I rotate it, see I can move it like that, and approximately I will rotate it along the x-axis by 25 degrees. Now if you come into the game view, now you can see my camera is exactly placed behind this truck. Coming back to scene, we have precisely placed our camera correctly. You also have transform scale and rect tool, and this rect tool is used only for 2D objects. This transform tool is move, rotate and transform, shows it together. All the three gizmos will be visible in transform tool. The keyboard shortcut Q is for hand, W is move, E is rotate, R is scale, T is rect transform, and Y is transform tool. So QWERTY is represented by these 6 tools. And now just before we end this session, I want to rearrange this panel. We saw that we have hierarchy, scene, game, inspector, project and console window open here, and this entire layout we can rearrange it according to our convenience. If you come into the right hand side, you have layout here and you can click and choose different types of layout. For example, 2x3 means you have the layout wherein you have scene and game view both are visible. You have hierarchy here, project and inspector next to each other like this. Now next you have 4 split. You have 4 views here available along with hierarchy, project and inspector. Then if I select this and select default, this is the layout which we are using till now. And then you have the tall layout and also the wide layout. And now I will come into the tall layout. I will just drag this inspector. If I bring the mouse in between these 2 panels here, it changes into double arrow. Now I can drag and I will slightly make the inspector panel small. I leave hierarchy as it is, and if you come into the project window, you have 2 windows. You have on the left hand side, you are going to make the selection. And when you are making the selection, here at the bottom right corner, you have a slider. If you move into the right, you can see a very large thumbnail. Say for example here in asset, if I come here course library and if I now open obstacle, you can see larger preview or thumbnails here. But if I drag all the way to the left, it becomes list view. I want the project window, instead of 2 windows opening here, in the project window I will come into these 3 dots here and I am going to choose this 1 column layout. And in 1 column layout, I can just select, open this and select it directly so that I have only 1 column, just like the hierarchy window. So I will just drag it here. I will also drag this, I will switch off this camera preview and I will select this game, drag it. I will move scene view to the top and game view to the bottom. So if I drag it down, see you have the scene view on the top and game view to the bottom. So I will arrange this layout. Now this layout, I want it to be reused or saved. Then I can come here, layout panel, click here and choose save layout. and I am going to now call this as Satvik and I will click create. I can come back here and choose default layout, and if I want my saved layout, I can come here and choose Satvik and I have my layout here. We have made our scene ready. Right now in our scene, all objects are static and we are going to add action to our scene through code in our next session.